Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along once again. I am Amanda, your host of this SmackDown review. And before we get to our SmackDown review, I just want to have a look at the SummerSlam card and make some predictions. So, in no particular order, but starting with night one, which is tonight. For the undisputed WWE Championship, we got CM Punk, the current champ, versus Cody Rhodes. I'm going for a Punk retention, but I smell shenanigans. I think this is going to be a great match, though. Really looking forward to it. We've got the Hell in a Cell match, which is Brock Lesnar versus Femi. I think this will be brutal, but potentially quite a quick one, and I'm going to go for a Femi win with this one, and it to be done. Their feud is over. The Women's World Championship, Liv Morgan, our champion, versus Io Sky. Guys, Liv has had the title for over 100 days and has 0 title defences. What the hell are WWE doing with her? This reign could have been epic. Her return at the Rumble and her win was so eagerly anticipated. She'd been out for a reasonably long amount of time. It could have really been absolute fire, but instead it's been left to die, and I'm saying an Io win for that reason. We've got Gunther versus Nick Aldis. This one is tricky. I would love to see an Aldis win, just because let's remember he was Oblivion the Gladiator. So I'm going to go for a Nick win, but not with a huge amount of confidence. We've got the 6-man tag team match, the Usos and Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa, LA Knight and Royce Keys. Does anyone care about this? Again, like Liv, what the fuck have WWE done to Fatu? Well, we know he's been sacrificed for this absolute bobbins of a Roman and the Bloodline storyline. And as for the Usos, I'm so done with them. I actually don't care about this match, but I am going to say a win for the Usos and Fatu. So WWE can continue to push the ridiculous Bloodline rerun storylines, which I hate if you hadn't noticed already. The one shining light in this whole debacle and this whole just absolute cluster is Solo's character tweak. He has become very cool. We've got our 6-woman tag match, Nikki Bella, Brie Bella and Paige versus Fatal Influence. I agree with Matt here. I was listening to his prediction show and the emails the other night, and I agree with him. Let Paige be free. We have been dying to have her back, and now she's not really been used very well at all, in my opinion. I think we're going to get a Fatal Influence win here. I think we're finally going to get the Bellas turning on Paige, and off she goes on a singles run. And honestly, the Bellas, or the Irrelevant Twins as we like to call them, can just do one. So night 2, Sunday, we've got the World Heavyweight Championship. This is Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Now, back in springtime, Roman said he was working all summer. Now, does SummerSlam mean the end of summer? If so, I think and I hope we see Roman drop the title to Seth. There are loads of rumours circulating about possible returns, and I wonder if something of that ilk could go down here. Either way, Roman to drop the belt and go away, and hopefully take the whole bloodline and all the story reruns back with him. We've then got the interim championship ladder match. So this is Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, Chelsea Green, and Julia or Lash Legend, winner of the final qualifier. I don't know. I guess the question here is, who do we want to see versus Rhea? Well, I know who we don't want to see, and that's Jade, so she's out. I wouldn't hate to see Flair Rhea again. I would like to see Flair have another title run, but I do worry that automatically undoes all the good work that's been done making Flair a face. As facing, no pun intended, Rhea, she will get booed, no doubt, and be the heel in that scenario. So my actual pick is Chelsea Green. That would be epic, and I'm going to go on a limb and say a Piper Niven surprise return to help her out, because we know that Piper hates Jade, probably in real life. going by her tweets and some of the interactions they've had. So I'm wondering if it's going to come down to some kind of everyone else is down and out, beat up. We've got Chelsea versus Jade. Everyone assumes that Jade's going to roll over Chelsea, but actually Piper Niven comes from nowhere and helps her out. That would be awesome. We've got the undisputed WWE Championship #1 contenders match. This is Sammy versus Finn. I'm going to say Finn to win, Sammy to implode. We all agree that we're totally bored of this version of Sammy, right? Danhausen versus Dominic Mysterio. This will be a Danhausen win. And again, I know he's not meant for me. I'm guess that his appeal, and he is appealing to the old New Day type crowd who really appreciate the comedy elements. I wondered what his longevity is, though, with this gimmick. I think he potentially has got quite a limited shelf life. But again, that's just my opinion. And I am well aware that this is a gimmick that isn't meant to appeal to people like me. Probably also 90% of the people listening to this podcast. United States Championship. Trick Williams versus Baron Corbin. Well, I mean, why bring Corbin back if you aren't going to put the title on him? On that basis, my pick here is for a Corbin win. Otherwise, is this just another version of his character that is buried before it even gets started? I'll give you the Commissioner Corbin, the Lone Wolf Corbin, Happy Corbin, Bum Corbin. They've all had potential, but have all ended up actually just being buried. So I hope that Corbin gets the title here. Then we've got the Intercontinental Championship. This is Penta, our current champion, versus Chad Gable. I'm going to say this is a Chad Gable win, the end of his redemption story. And this one could be the match that steals the show. I think it'll be a really, really good match. Really quickly, before we get to the review, let's talk about some returns from various sources I've read and heard. I think probably the strongest rumour is Randy Orton. He could fit in easily, get involved after the Punk Rhodes match. Punk wins, Randy comes out, RKO's them both, and we've got a nice setup for between now and Christmas, I guess. Another one which is quite exciting, has been spoken about quite a lot, is KO. KO return's been gathering more and more steam over the last few weeks. He is allegedly close to return, and I would be off the chart if he came back. For me, I see him inserted into the Sammy picture, them joining forces, so maybe Sammy takes the loss, and while he's having a hissy fit, KO comes out, picks him up, and we have the start of them working together again. Another person that I've missed a lot, and I think we probably all have, is Stephanie Vaquer. She's been out for what seems like forever with, I think, a shoulder injury, and I've really missed her. I have no idea how close she is, but could we see her involved in the ladder match? That would be awesome, but doesn't feel super likely, to be honest. We've got Becky. We haven't seen her for ages. She could easily come back in and fit in anywhere, especially if we get an AJ Lee return, which is the one I really want to see. Haven't heard much about the possibility of this, and I think it's probably just me wishing and hoping. Let's see how it all happens. And before we start the review, and I promise this is my last point before we start the reason why you're all here, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Raw this week. Guys, I didn't even finish it. What a load of crap. And what was that nonsense with Oba and Brock? Just absolute bollocks, being locked in a cage which ultimately can be lifted up. It just didn't... It's just nonsense. I'm hoping for a better SmackDown, and so let's get to it and review the SmackDown that aired 31st of July and was the go-home show for this year's SummerSlam. And we start off with Joe Tess welcoming us to Green Bay, and we've got our rivals tonight. We're getting a face-to-face between Cody and Punk, and then we've got Tiffy and Chelsea, who team tonight to face Jade and the B-Card Army. I roll. We've then got Lash versus Julia for the last spot in the ladder match. Oh, I hope we get something interesting there, and that's not as straight as it seems. We've got Priest and Truth versus the War Raiders, title versus title. So, all in all, not a bad looking card for tonight. We start off with Finn out, who gets an amazing reaction, and I know I've said it before, but I really do like face Finn. Finn says, whenever we get to this time of year, he can't help but think of 2016. We have heard this before. His first SummerSlam, which was the best and worst night of his career. He went from the highs of winning the title to the lows and the heartbreak of having to relinquish it through injury. He says he spent the last 10 years clawing and scratching to get back to the glory of that night. He says, but now he's got the Balor Club behind him, and we're so close to getting back. And this brings out Sami, who tells Finn he understands this is an emotional time for you, but there are some things he needs to get off his chest. He says this number one contender match, which Sami is in, shouldn't be happening. The main event should be him, Rhodes and Punk in a triple threat. He says he knows everyone is happy, they have their marquee match. He knows everyone's wondering who's going to win. He says he would love to see Cody win because he's already beat Cody clean to become champ, and he knows that he can do it again. He says, though, that there's also a part of him that would like to see Punk retain, and he goes on to really slag Punk off, calling him a big fraud, biggest hypocrite, biggest baby, guy who delivered the pipe bomb and then has gone on to become the corporate poster boy number 2. He says it would be his pleasure to take the title off of him. He tells Finn he has respect for him, and at that, Finn interrupts him and tells him, how about you show some respect and grow some balls, come down to the ring and say what you want to say to my face. Sami does make his way to the ring and tells him that he does have respect for him, and anyone that has seen him in the last 10 years knows how great he is, and that he should have already been champion 4 or 5 times already. Sami tells him, but this moment belongs to him. He says, you've had your time and now it's my time. He says this is all about justice for Sami, which obviously pushes his new merch. Finn says, what about justice for me? He says he spent 10 years getting here and this is his moment. Sami tells him, it took you 10 years and you didn't even get close. You should probably take the hint. Finn says back to him, 10 years, it took you longer to even get a smell of it. Finn says that he had to relinquish the title after 1 day because he was injured, but Sami had it for 9 days and he wasn't injured, he wasn't screwed, he just lost. And the crowd starts a really big Sami sucks chant, doesn't he just? Sami goes on to say that if he didn't respect Finn so much, he would have dropped him right now, but he won't because he's the last good guy, still pushing that as well. And he's going to walk away, and he tells Finn he'll see him at SummerSlam. We then get a random insertion from Gunther, who attacks them both from behind and tells him that he is the rightful number one contender. We get Pierce out, and Gunther tells him, what do I have to do to get a title shot? He says, do I need to beat your ass as well? Then Gunther is jumped by Sami and Finn from behind. It all breaks down. And then we get Nick out, who is Gunther's opponent, obviously. SummerSlam, he's throwing punches at Gunther, and Nick gets a Texas cloverleaf on Gunther and has to be dragged off by officials. So let's take a breath and just break that down. First of all, already 100% better than the Raw, so that's a huge result for us SmackDown folks. Finn is very over with the crowd, and they genuinely seem to be behind him. On the other hand, apart from his Let's Go in his theme song, Sami is getting loads of heat from the crowd. So this number one contender match is the perfect face versus heel situation. And WWE have done well getting Finn into this position, starting off by the Judgment Day turning on him over on Raw, and then his move over to SmackDown. That's been very good. Now, the attack by Gunther. I don't actually mind it at all. It's believable. He would be pissed off still, wouldn't he? And rightly so. I mean, why on earth does Sami deserve to be near the title if Gunther isn't? The Aldous attack I really like. And the crowd, oh my god, a Let's Go Aldous chant started up straight away. So actually, I think that match is going to be pretty awesome. All in all, a really good start to the show. Different voices, different angles, and loads of stories crossing over. So for me, properly good. Our first in-ring action tonight is Chelsea and Tiffy versus Meechin and B-Fab, who, by the way, don't even get their own entrance music. They just have to come out to Jade's music, which must be pretty rubbish if you've been around particularly as long as Meechin has, and she's done some stuff. You know, she's worked with some legends. She's worked with AJ Styles. Now she is just resorted to coming out to someone else's entrance music, who is not a great talent. Anyway, Jade and the B-Card Army, they could come out to anything and it still just get crickets. No one cares. This one kicks off, and by all rights, if kayfabe wasn't a thing, we should get the B-Card Army absolutely handed their ass, but that's not where we are. It does start off like that, and Tiffy and Chelsea actually teaming up together. They've got matching outfits. They actually look pretty good. Of course, though, we get a Jade distraction outside the ring, taking out Tiffy. Chelsea hits a brilliant-looking missile dropkick, but she's overcome as the B-Card Army hit their double-team move and take the win over Chelsea and Tiffy, once again to absolute silence. So Chelsea and Tiffy looking good here. And as the B-Card Army are celebrating, we have Flair out. That allows Tiffy and Chelsea to attack the B-Card Army and leave Jade alone with Flair. We get Flair and Jade in a brawl in the ring, and Flair takes out Jade, with Jade scurrying off. And I really hope that doesn't mean we're getting a Jade win at SummerSlam, but in old school wrestling laws, if you took a loss on the go-home show, sometimes it meant that you were going to get the victory on the pay-per-view, but maybe those rules don't really apply so much anymore. To be honest, dream scenario is that after a loss at SummerSlam, WWE finally realised that Jade is not the one, and they send her and her B-Card Army back to NXT. It's not just me. I don't think I have ever heard a crowd reaction for this group. No cheers, no boos, no nothing, and I think that just means people don't care. Send them back down to NXT. Bring back B-Fab and Meechin as singles performers. I've got no beef with them as singles performers, but they're being wrecked by Jade. We go backstage to Axiom and Rey Fenix, and they face off with Dom and JD. Dom tells Phoenix that that JD wants a title shot, and Phoenix agrees, so that could be fun angle tonight. I wouldn't mind JD getting a singles title, but I fear if this match happens tonight, we'll get some kind of Danhausen interference to ruin it for him. We get Tama and Tala Tonga in a promo. Tama is saying they've forgotten who they are. He says leaving Solo was the right move, and they lost sight of their own goals. They say from now on they are the family. They're going back to getting the gold. And we get Haku out, which is a surprise. He says they are the Tongans he needs, and he basically sends them out to kick ass. So, I wonder, bear with me on this one, are we going to get a Tongan elder in each corner match to finally finish off all the Bloodline Solo Roman stuff? Imagine, like the old WrestleMania, I can't remember what number it is, but there was a WrestleMania years ago where we had a McMahon in each corner. It was Linda, Steph, Vince, and oh my god, the son, whose name's forgotten. Anyway, in each corner, that would be awesome. And then could we end up with just Shane McMahon? And then could we just end up at the end of that with just Solo, which would be just great. Next out, we've got the tag title versus title, Priest and Truth versus War Raiders, and this one kicks off War Raiders in charge. Not sure which way this one will go. The War Raiders are ridiculously strong and mobile at the same time, which makes them epic in my opinion. It ends up taking quite a hardcore turn as we go out into the crowd, resulting in a DQ finish, and then Tala and Tama Tonga show up and totally flatten everyone. They are joined in the ring by Haku, and the Tongans end up standing with all the tag gold in the ring. And I think, well, that certainly took a much more interesting turn. I like it. This should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to the Tongans going on an absolute tear and just destroying everything. Backstage now, Kathy has Punk. She asks him about the dynamic between him and Cody and how it's become contentious. He says it's competition. He says they've been running from this match for some time. He says, are they friends right now? No. Will they be friends when the bell rings? He says no. He says this is a chance to take on all comers. He says he'll still be champ at the end of the night, and he's interrupted by Trick, who tells him that he's coming from the championship. Punk says he wants new faces and challengers, but he tells him that he's going to whoop that trick once he does become number one contender. And for me, I think this is why it's important that Punk retains. He has explicitly said that he wants to face new people, and I think that might be the best way to keep things fresh, if we don't go right back down the Cody line. I know we're going to get Cody again at some point in the future, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. But I think in order to keep things moving and keep things fresh for now, we need a Punk retention, and I hope his number one contender is Finn and not Sammy. Next out, we've got Trick, and he is still without Little Yachty, which is actually quite refreshing. Trick has the mic, and he says he's arrived. Tonight he's got a lot on his chest. He says over the past month, Big Bull Baron has come back to SmackDown and decided to hate on Trick Williams. He tells Corbin he makes him sick. He says this is what we were doing about it, and he calls Corbin out. And he duly comes out and tells Trick he bets he loves hearing the sound of his own voice. He says that while he was away, he learned a lesson about patience, which is something Trick doesn't understand. And he doesn't need to, because as soon as he arrived, they strapped a rocket to him. And they gave him the entrance music, which makes everyone believe that he's more important than he is. He says, you want everything now, and that's your downfall. He tells him at SummerSlam it will feel like he's in quicksand, and he'll submit him. Trick interrupts and says he's sick of him saying how tougher he is than when he was here last time. He asks him what he's here for, and asks him if he's just here for the check. Seems like Trick wants to go at it right here and right now, and Corbin nips that in the bud, saying he doesn't care what anyone wants, especially Trick. He's just a dumb rookie who doesn't understand, and he tells him on Sunday he's taken his title and there's nothing Trick can do about it. I thought that was a really more than decent segment. I like Corbin here. He's also speaking some serious truths too. And Trick getting pushed too early. Yep. The thing about the theme music. Yep. All true. And we know wrestling stories are at their best when they are in the grey area of being a little bit true. This should be a good match. I only hope we don't get Little Yachty shenanigans. I'm quite over him. Next out, Rey Fenix and JD McDonough for the AAA Cruiserweight Championship. As I said, glad JD is getting the chance here, but I don't think this is going to end the way I want it to. It's not looking good, as JD didn't get his entrance, not that we saw on TV anyway, and yes, called it. Out comes Danhausen and his Mini-Hausens to get rid of Dom, causing a distraction. This allows Rey to hit the Mexican Muscle Buster and get the win, retaining the title. Honestly, the sooner the Judgment Day get rid of this Danhausen angle, the better. It's awful, I hate it, and I feel like we're going to have to rotate through members of the roster to have a bit of a shit 3 months as they each work their way through the Danhausen segments. Next out, we've got the match for the final spot in the ladder match for the interim title, Lash versus Julia. And I'm still wondering if this is going to be just a straightforward match, or hopefully there is something a bit more here. On paper, this one does look like a bit of a mismatch, as Lash is massive and strong, and just like that, she hits the Lash extension and gets the win. It was pretty much a squash, and so she gets the last spot in the match. That doesn't change my pick, however, for the winner of the ladder match, and I do wonder if we might also get some interference from Nia, and I'm guessing now that we defo know we're not going to see AJ Lee at SummerSlam unless we do. Next out, we've got our quote-unquote main event, which is just a face-to-face talking segment between Punk and Cody. We get Punk interrupting Cody mid-entrance, which annoys Cody no end, and probably the crowd as well, because they do enjoy singing along with his entrance. Cody says since Chicago they've been running towards each other. Punk says he knew it would ruffle some feathers and hurt some feelings when he got his title shot, but what was he meant to do? Was he supposed to bitch and cry like the babies in the back, or be like Sammy, talking like a star player when he's actually just a bench warmer? He says no, he was never going to be like those mediocre bums. He says he hopes it does piss people off. He says let's stop talking about being friends, start talking about the title. He says we aren't friends right now. He says he's got to know who the better wrestler is between the two of them. Cody asks them what they want to talk about, and mostly people are chanting for CM Punk at that point, which I'm sure probably isn't quite what Cody had in mind. He says this isn't business, it's personal. He says they both know it's personal to everyone. He says it means you're the best, and it's the crown, you're the king. Cody says Punk was the one who says that he isn't here to make friends, he's here to make money. Punk says he isn't here to lose friends either, but if it comes down to losing a friend or losing the title, then tomorrow night isn't going to be his night. Cody says the word that bothers him is tomorrow, and he wants to know what Punk is going to do about it tonight. They start to face off in the ring, and they both strip down a little bit, and they start to trade hands, and we have a fight at ringside, which eventually brings out the production staff and the refs. They try and break it up, and that is how we go off air. So after tonight's show, I'm not changing any of my SummerSlam predictions. I think I'm going to stick with what I've said. Listen, compared to Raw, this was a masterpiece. And actually, as a go-home show, it was more than decent. I don't understand how two shows, SmackDown and Raw, can be written by pretty much the same people under the same leadership, and how can they be so different? Rumour has it that the Netflix execs also weren't delighted with how Raw went down this week either, and they've spoken to WWE Creative about their concerns. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm hopeful that after SummerSlam we'll get an upturn in the quality of Raw, because wrestling overall is just much better when we've got two really strong shows to watch. But as far as SmackDown goes, I think we're lucky. This was a good show tonight, and I'm looking forward to SummerSlam very much. Anyway, so here we go, head first into SummerSlam weekend, and as I said, it should be a really good one, so wherever you watch it, make sure you enjoy, and I'm sure we'll catch up next week on predictions and any surprise please returns. That just about does it for this week's show. Thanks for having me in your ears once again, and remember, until next time, to be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.